recording.
So are we just gonna
It's
talk on
recording.
camera for a little bit before we start actually
You can warm up the crowd. You can, but remember, it is getting saved as a video, so maybe a little warm up action. A little warm up. Okay. Let's see what's going on. This is a live stream. This is a YouTube live stream. Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you go to youtube.com/thingglobalschool and let's see. This is my live stream. Let's see. There you are. You're live. You're live. All right. Why don't we do this? You can actually just carry it around and interview people, and then I'll come back and take over camera duties. But you know.
Oh my God! Is the one viewer shoddy? There's more viewers now. Hi. This is all being recorded. Oh my God! We're in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Look at that.
Metla, welcome to the live stream. It's all being recorded and will be published later. There's 3 whole viewers, and one of them is shoddy. I don't know who the other 2 are, but welcome to one of the showcase rooms. I'm waiting for Riley to send out the email. Adnan, welcome to the live stream.
Wait, this is our final project.
Oh my God, this is being recorded. Hi. Oh my God. Everyone is here. Hey. Oh, I can see the comments on this. This is cool. It's live streamed and it's being recorded, so everyone needs to think before they speak.
We're at the showcase. We're ready to. We already kicked it off about 2-3 minutes ago, but we're ready to actually kick it off. As you can see, we're in the smaller room. There's a bigger room over there with more projects like that. Who's about to come in about a minute, but.
Okay, we're gonna move to the other room for a second. Boop, 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 boop. Wow. Hello. Here's a quick tour. Here's the other room. Jack, welcome to the live stream. It's the live stream. So we've got everyone presenting their projects in here. It's a live stream. Okay, but let's go back to the other room and I'll start interviewing people. Hi. Oh. We're getting like a point tour in here. Okay. Who's being Shadi? You're gonna be interviewed for the live stream. I know, you can look at this project with him. He's just presenting. Shadi, do you want to pull up your project? Shadi, what is your project?
My project is about the philosophy of identity. So I took a closer look at the core concept of it throughout time between the Greek people and the Greek philosophers. And these are the drawings that I've made, trying to represent what I have learned. So for example, this one is of Nietzsche looking at the mirror and seeing that he is becoming the Ubermensch. That's how he perceives himself. And yeah.
Cool. So what made you want to start this project?
What made me want to start this project is I wanted to know what section, like what drives my identity as a person. Is it the memories that I have? Is it my experiences, my hardships? And so that's what really led me to like look for those questions. Yeah.
Cool. What was your biggest learning curve in this project?
My biggest learning curve is realizing that memory is the one thing that is important in the identity of all of us. Because if we lose it, then we lose our experiences, our relationships with people, what others see us as, because that's also important as our identity. So I would say that that's one of the things that are really important in that.
Yeah. Can you tell me about these drawings over here next to your booth?
This one is one of me. So for this one, for example, I am looking in the mirror and I'm seeing all those words that make my identity. So we have the soul, we have the appearance, the belief, the perceptions, and most importantly, the memory. This one is Socrates and what he believes the identity is. So for Socrates, he believes that the soul is the core concept of like the identity of each person. And from there, we see that later on Aristotle developed that concept and have seen that the soul is indeed the essence of each person, the identity of each person, and they have divided that identity into three sections. For example, for Plato, he divided that into three parts: the rational soul, the spiritual soul, and the appetitive soul. And for Aristotle, he developed from that concept again and found that there's the rational soul for humans, the appetitive for animals, and the spiritual for like plants. So that's how like they go. And he found that the identity of the self is essentially body and soul.
Cool. Thank you, Shadi. Let's go over to Mila and Kiana's booth.
It's also an environmental because
I mean, like
greenery
what exactly like?
and
So the Ubermensch is like the stage that is
yeah. Sorry, I'm lost at words. Okay.
you get released you get released from
The
all
step
those things that
represents
you from
change over time.
so that
Because they look very similar to the ones that
I took many ideas from many drawings. So for example, you see this and this trying to represent like for example the Superman costume. Like something.
We'll come back to them when they're less busy.
And in here I'm trying to symbolize something that is not like human, like something that is better than human. So yeah.
Matla, Nada. Hey. What's up? We're doing the interviews for the TGS live stream.
Oh my God! Hello. This is Steve Africa. No, we're not out of prison. This is our senator. So, am I supposed to explain what
Sure.
Okay. Hello. Here. So
basically, how that perception is
historical Greek and contemporary concepts of today. So we aim to combine the two in one final product where we have
and in there I learned many things about how
viscosity, which is like very thin light fabric
their
that
belief system made their identity.
how we like colors and stuff like that. We also added like historical features where they had gender neutral features, like we wearing the exact same thing. So back in the day, men and women used to wear the same type of clothing, and we were wearing the exact same clothing. So the gender neutrality of our piece is very evident.
That's awesome.
thank you guys.
Cool. Thank you. All the love. Okay, we're coming back.
What I am gonna
Make sure that we emphasize that section.
okay, I have enough information, but I have to meet with my mentor to see that there is still more
It's
to
the
like
biggest form of
achieve, more to
indirect human
discover.
control
So that was
because
to
it
like
is unseen
seek
by
those
population.
information. Yeah.
Look at them. They've got a presentation.
Our struggles for this project.
This is
We've never worked with Clay before. It was our complete first time, and many students can witness. So we have
And
asked
these are
for.
my notes, like
a
the
lot of
lifestyle,
help.
like the influences of like the
I think not knowing what you don't know
system influenced the ancient Greeks.
Very challenging because, as we like previously mentioned, we love modules that are teacher led because we get to explore topics that we ourselves are learning about. And we decided to do that by ourselves, which was very hard, but we pushed through it and created this and have like a specialist base of understanding, which is awesome. And we also struggled a lot with like planning experiences. So like reaching out to people and trying to get like more raw sort
Okay, we're gonna move somewhere else.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, whoa.
Will! Live stream!
Oh wait, are you gonna see this?
Yeah, can you tell me about your project?
So I'm in mid-explanation with them, but I'm basically doing Olympics project.
Oh.
So explaining how Greek mythology relates to the Olympics and the origin. So the Greek mythology also was a lot of religion. They believed in the gods, the heroes, all this stuff. So these are the different experiences I did to kind of gather information. I went to the Olympic training grounds, which is where NBA players train for when they came to Greece to compete in the All-Star Game. I also went to the Panathenaic Stadium, which was the only stadium in the whole world made completely out of marble. Then I did shot put training in ACS. I woke up at 6:45 in the morning every Tuesday and Thursday to participate in this. I'm gonna go to the sports and the relevance. We have a very prominent figure in there was he was known around the world for his strength, and he was very good at wrestling. In the Olympics, it's still an Olympic sport now. It's one of the most popular ones. We have javelin. Javelin wasn't only an Olympic sport, it was also used for war. It would be used in wars and for hunting. Horse racing, it's pretty self-explanatory. They would race around the track for
Mahdia! Welcome to the live stream. Can you tell me about your project?
My project is and who are the famous Greek astronomers. My learning target, I learned about astronomy, science, geography, I had and this is draft after some feedback, and this is my submitted.
Awesome! Thank you, Mahdia. What has been the thing you were most passionate about in this project? Cool, thank you so much. Bye. It's really hard to hear anything. I don't know what to do.
Kind of have it on their project, they have them speak near the because they can hear you.
They can hear me.
When they start talking, you can't say
Okay.
we'll have to adapt to you.
Yeah, I thought you, okay.
We also didn't think it was going to be this time.
Yeah, okay, cool. Nilla, would you like to be on the live stream? Would you like to be on the live stream? Okay, anyways, I heard that it's super loud, so I'm gonna walk around. Yes, Sipo, come talk to the live stream outside where it's less loud. Oh my god, we're gonna get a one-to-one interview. Yeah. Sipo! How? Put him in the boot, get in the boot, get in the boot, get in the boot. Okay. Sipo, welcome to the live stream. How have you been enjoying things so far?
So far, everything has been wonderful.
Yeah.
You can clearly see all the the hard work that each student has put into their personal project. And to see it all showcased right now after the fact right here, getting lost in the mid-trays, the dramas of it all. It's beautiful to see everything come together. So proud of it.
Aww. What was your project this term?
My project is making a documentary about exploration in space and how that affects life. I'm having a position, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, there's a second session?
There's a second session.
Amazing. Incredible. Who has been your favorite presenter in the first session?
And the summit of itself, you can tell that it's and it wasn't just like popped up. It was more research. It took some involved in putting the time 6:45 to go and do the Mini Olympics. So I feel like he presented very well. And Mila has an amazing project. It's well researched. It has like so
Is it really good?
It's really good. She created a beautiful product, and I can't wait to see what everyone else is up to. But amazing. Showcase is great.
Thank you for talking to me.
No problem.
Let's go. We're gonna find more people to talk to. Oop. Okay. We found a strategy. I love kidnapping people. Let's get an educator in on this. Michelle, come with me to my interviewing booth for the live stream. Yeah. How has your day been, Michelle?
No, Rachel.
It's been a day? Oh my god, you can sit here. Yeah. Amazing.
Live stream right now.
Yeah, it's being live streamed right now to the TGS community on YouTube.
Cool.
Amazing. So, how have you been enjoying Showcase so far?
Oh, Showcase is hands down my favorite day of the year, of the term, because you're all doing things all the time, but I don't know what it is usually, to an extent. So now I get to see it all. There's a lot of
Amazing.
really cool projects going on right now.
Yeah.
Climbing, people are making art, there's some people matching with outfits that are talking about art as well. It's pretty cool.
What has been one of your favorite booths in the first session so far?
So I spent a lot of time talking to Kiana and Mila. They made sculpture basically about democracy. They spent a lot of time looking at how democracy is mostly a facade, how we think we have this ability to make choices, but we don't as much as we do. So it's actually like a two-sided hill where people are kind of going into this cave. So they use like the scenery, the like biodiversity in Greece, as well as the history of democracy and how it's evolved over time.
Amazing. That's so cool. Thank you for telling me about it, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to head into this room now so I can see what's going on over here.
The extra loud room?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Good, I'm excited.
Perfect.
Cool.
Let's go. Oh, I mean, you're walking with me to find someone else to grab. Hello. Yeah, do you want to talk more about it outside?
Oh, should I take my pieces?
Sure, if you want to. It's way too loud. People can only hear me. Let's go.
How many people are online?
2. 3. There's 3 people now. Okay, we're gaining numbers. Okay, here is Guillermo and his project. And with Ibrahim, who's gonna ask him some questions.
So basically, this project explores mythology and weaving here in Greece. So for my first tapestry, I learned how to do flocati, which is this rock making technique in order to this should be after going into a washing machine, but like a weird old washing machine that makes it after this get fuzzy. So people can use it as a rug or just wall hangings. I'm just gonna use it as a wall hanging with this pattern. So this is just for aesthetics. But then I created my final tapestry, which I designed this pattern from after the myth of the Minotaur and the by the Minotaur and the Labyrinth, which basically I use like this symbolism of like the labyrinth to showcase this myth. So I learned about different myths, and then I decided to create this pattern with that myth. And then we also have this red thread, which I was supposed to embroider, but like when I started embroidering, I didn't like how it looked like. So I thought that it was just gonna be easier and like better visually to just have it as a prompt here. This piece took about 10 hours to produce. Because it was like a really complicated pattern, especially for a person who has never weaved. But it turned out to be really successful, and I'm really, really happy.
So, why did you choose to do weaving as your module this term?
Well, I am in my last term of TGS, and like I know how many things I was gonna need to do in front of a computer, and I think I really enjoy doing things with my hands, and especially exploring new art forms. So I thought that weaving, especially seeing the impact that it had on ancient Greek culture, was the perfect, and also right now in Greek Orthodox motifs, and I thought it was like the perfect way to incorporate my need to get off screens and work into a new way of creating art. So.
What do you think of this project, Ibrahim and Amethyst?
I love it so much, but technically just heard about it.
Yeah.
But I also have heard about it before. And at Krissa, and it's amazing. Look at this final product.
Weaving for me seems to be a hard art, I guess, to actually master. So like this is your first piece and looks really great.
Yeah.
It's actually awesome.
Yeah.
Just integrating some ancient Greek elements there.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Incredible.
Wow.
Now we can watch them walk away. Bye, Ibrahim. Oh, wow. Isn't this so much fun? Oh, God, this is going to be recorded. Hi, Amethyst. Don't take my boot, Amethyst. I'm going to need to use that in a little bit. Who else? Who else is there?
So what would you say is the biggest thing? Like, the biggest difference between
Who have I not interviewed? Come here.
implemented now
Oh my God, we're gonna talk to Effie. It's for the live stream that's being recorded. Come out to my booth with me. Yeah. We've got a senior. We've got an Effie. You can sit in here, Effie. How have you been enjoying Showcase so far?
It's really, really exciting. I spent about 15 minutes listening to Kirsten talk about olives.
Oh,
yeah.
Olives?
Actually, so cool. So passionate about it. It's actually so cool. And the whole like rotation crops and how like it's not just like you plant an olive tree and that's that. It's like how do you keep the soil fertile without getting external fertilizer and using nature, and how sustainable that is, which I think is super cool. So I've been able to look at about 3 or 4 different booths so far, and it's so cool because I don't know what anyone's doing other than like my immediate friends.
Oh.
So it's like nice to be able to now be like, okay, what have you done?
Cool. What did you do?
I did a trilogy of feminist paintings.
Oh.
Based around 3 of the major female characters in Greek mythology, which are sirens as a creature, Medusa and Arachne, and the feminist point of view of that and the feminist interpretation around these myths, because a lot of them only mention them in passing in a passage. But what does that mean on a larger scale, the symbolism behind it? So for example, Arachne, she is the symbol of the hubris. And she's like arrogant and extremely confident and thinks she's amazing.
Yeah.
And then it introduces this concept of punishment for being better than someone else.
Yeah.
For excelling as, in this case, a woman. And it was that shift, and I found out one of the earliest pro-feminist books, if you've heard of The City of Ladies, written in like the Renaissance. From The City of Ladies, it's really, really exciting because the woman mentions that in the passage, which is super cool because that's from 1432 or something.
Yeah.
And it was already then recognized as Arachne's inventor, this pioneer in weaving, and that was the way women told stories when they weren't educated on writing.
Yeah.
How would women express their opinions and their views when they couldn't write, when they weren't allowed to publish novels like men were? So it's that really interesting concept. So that's one of the paintings that I did.
That's amazing. Thank you for telling me about it, Effie.
No problem.
I think I'm gonna go kidnap Kirsten now.
Go
Would you
for it.
recommend?
I would really recommend.
Okay, awesome. Let's go find Kirsten. Kirsten, where is the olive girl? Olive girl. Hold on. Sorry. Here, look at the setup she has. She's very busy talking to someone, so we'll wait a minute and we can check out what she has here and she can explain it in a minute. Okay, maybe she's a little busy right now. Let's see who we can find to talk to. We're gonna take Dia instead because she was just working with Effie on their module together. Dia.
Yes.
Welcome to the live stream.
Hello.
How have you been finding Showcase so far?
Showcase has been really good. I've been going around taking pictures of everyone. I've also been going around looking at different projects. I've got a few favorites, and everyone's done something super cool, and it's so interesting to see how abstract everyone's projects are and the way that they're explaining them.
Tell me more about your favorite projects.
So I really like the cooking projects that have taken place because I think they're so unique to themselves. Both students, Kirsten and Mila, have tried to incorporate traditional Greek items into their projects, which is super interesting. And the second favorite project of mine was Will's Olympic project. It's super unique because he did a mini Olympics and everyone participated in it. And it was a really fun way to show how sports in Greece have changed over time.
That's really cool. Thank you for telling me about it. What has been the highlight of working on your modules so far? You were working with Effie and I've just spoke to her. So what was the highlight of the module for you?
The highlight of the module for me was learning about all of these different Greek myths through a different lens. So I focused on the psychological aspect of the myths, which was super interesting to see that what was once considered to be amazing and what was once considered to be the greatest thing ever is now considered to be a psychological disorder.
Oh. You're gonna need to expand on that one. That one's interesting. Can you give me an example?
Okay, definitely. So, if you heard of the story of Hades and Persephone, their story goes something like this: when Hades falls in love with her, and she doesn't know him, but he creates a plan and tears the earth in half so that she would fall through the cracks and marry him and stay in the underworld with him.
And that is considered to be modern day Stockholm syndrome, because Persephone falls in love with Hades after being trapped in the underworld for a certain amount of time. And modern day Stockholm syndrome says that captives fall in love with their captors and grow sympathetic for them after they're held captive for a long time. So
Wow. That's really interesting. Thank you so much, Dio.
Thank you.
Who would you recommend I go and kidnap to talk to?
Mila.
Mila?
Yes.
Okay, let's go find Mila. We're going kidnapping. You. Me. Outside. Now. And Kiana, you're in this, or unless you want to do it separately? Oh, Kiana, stay. Mila, come. You're being kidnapped. It was Dia's choice. Wow. Look at this. Come with me to my booth. There's a lot of people here. Take a seat.
Here?
Yeah. Welcome to the live stream.
Okay, hi.
Mila, would you like to tell me about your Greece module?
Sure. Okay, so my Greece module was about the developments of Greek democracy over time in ancient Greece and what has become of it today. So basically we created a sculpture that depicts the illusion of choice, along with an essay to explain more about it.
Awesome. So, what was your favorite experience you had for this module?
Probably going to a clay workshop and the lady telling me that she only does ceramics, later running out to go have lunch with a friend telling me that she never answered that. I would say.
How did you handle that situation?
I think I went back to the res and then went to a craft shop and then bought clay and did it myself.
Wow.
I know. So
Self-directed learning.
definitely very, very self-guided. I think it was really cool to do this project because we kept up the spirit of modules with the fact that when you go in a teacher-led module, usually, I try to aim to go into a subject that I know nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit hard to do that by yourself because you don't know what you don't know. But hey, it was a learning experience and now I'm here and everything's done and I know what I'm talking about.
You know what you're talking about. Incredible. So Mila, outside of your own module, which seems fascinating, in the first session, what are the projects you found the most interesting or that have really connected with you?
I'm gonna have to go to Max and Noah's.
Max and Noah's? Oh.
That one was I barely know anything about what's going on in it, but it's good.
Cool.
It was very impressive.
Should I call them out? Should I kidnap them now?
Is that it? Is that the only thing that you're gonna?
Do you have more you want to talk about?
Of course, I have so much to talk
Exactly.
about.
You're the first person who wants to talk.
Definitely. Well,
Let's go.
So I think something that was really interesting about the project that we made was the developments of things over time and how, when you have unintended metaphors in the things that you do, everything seemed to kind of connect really well and intertwine. So I think one of my favorite things about our sculpture was the fact that I discovered that democracy is essentially a dictatorship of the majority.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. I liked how the steps that we made leading up to, so it's basically this hill. There are caves at the top, which are faces, but the people walking in don't see it. So people are walking up these steps to go into these caves, and they have 3 caves. They have a choice in which one to go to. There is obviously a majority going in the middle one, but anyway, on the other side, they'll end up being in the same black hole.
Oh, wow.
But so the steps leading up to that are very similar to the steps in the Parthenon, which is extremely symbolic for democracy in ancient Greece. Okay? It's supposed to show the change over time and how sculptures in general used to be colorful and painted, and now and it has faded, along with Greece's political values.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
How do you think you're going to apply what you learned in this project and how your opinions have maybe deepened into like your future work and how you function like on a day-to-day basis? Like what influence is this going to have on you?
I think I'm a quarter cynic.
Oh.
Because you're a full cynic.
I am a bit of a
But
full
I think
cynic.
I've become just a quarter because Adnan asked me
Yeah.
what I would take away from this, like what I would do to democracy to improve it. And I said, nothing. It's always going to be a tyranny on one side. So I think that's very cynical. Why are you here? This is my interview.
How are the interviews going?
They're actually going really well.
What are the people saying?
The people are telling me a lot about their projects and their favorite projects.
That's cool.
Mila has been telling me about how she'll never trust people or democracy ever again.
Interesting. All right, continue.
Let's go. Mila has been distracted by probably one of the worst people in TGS. But she's back. She's got my full attention again. Let me give you a question. No, I don't. I was just given the camera. So this is your second year at TGS. Like you're about to enter your senior year, and having such like you've been managing so many projects yourself this term. How has that made you feel, and how does that make you look at your final year at TGS? Do you feel more confident in yourself and your organizational skills than when you started at TGS?
On a personal level, my time management skills have always been lacking. However, I'm very excited for the upcoming projects that I'm going to be doing in my senior year. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be overwhelming, fun, and full of surprises. But I think I'm pretty confident. I don't know how confident I'll be in my own projects. I think I'll be pretty confident in helping others.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why would you feel more confident in helping others than running your own things?
Because I managed to know how to do everything for other people in order to procrastinate with my own work.
How do you think you're going to be able to tackle that issue? Are you going to talk to your advisors, your educators? What's going to happen there?
I always talk to my advisors. They are some of the most trustworthy people on the planet, especially when they don't tell me anything about the upcoming terms. I don't know. We have a lot of support at TGS. You know, you go to people for anything, and they respond in a pretty positive way most of the time.
Thank you, Mila.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go back to my booth. Come to my booth if you want to know
I'll
more
come
about
to
my
your booth.
project.
I'll come to your booth. I can't hear anything inside the room, but come on, we're running. We're running. We're going. We're going. We're going. We're going.
That's more of a wrap. Oh, what are we doing? We're going to see the...
We're looking at the statue. Oh wow.
Good job, and that we definitely grow a lot.
Look at the steps. You can see the steps.
Yeah, the steps.
Awesome.
Anyways.
Okay. That's fine. Would you like to talk to the live stream in my booth about your project? Let's go. Let's go. Run faster.
You know, a lot of locals don't, so you're smart.
Oh. Yeah, I want to listen all about your project. Oh, sure. You sit that side, I'll sit this side. So this is Yeli. Can you just give us a brief overview of what your project is before we get started?
So essentially, in this project, I was aiming to understand Greek musical history, so analyze and experience different eras of Greek musical history. So I got to learn about ancient history and meet with lyre makers, people who reconstruct lyres the way that they used to be. I got to meet with and learn the baglamas and the zora, which is a type of instrument that is really important in the rebetiko era of Greek music, which was basically became the most popular style of Greek music after the Turkish exchange brought a whole lot of different musical styles into Greece. And then finally, hip hop. If you go on the Spotify top 50 for Greece right now, you're gonna see a lot of hip hop tracks because it's really big here. There's a really big hip hop scene here. So I got to speak with a lot of hip hop heads, and I got to meet and work with one of the top producers in the country to produce a song.
Oh wow!
That takes elements from all these different eras of Greek music that I learned. So the ancient era, the Rebetiko era, and the hip hop era into something really unique. So my end product. I'm gonna explain it a little bit. So it's a hip hop beat. It's a drill beat. So that drill beats are really characteristic with their drums. Their drums are really like it's nice. They have really nice hi hats, really nice 808s, like sliding 808s, a really nice bass. It hits. So that's the hip hop element, and then the main melody is me playing the baglamas, which is the instrument that I learned. I had a few lessons on it. So it's a traditional belly dancing rhythm.
Belly dancing.
Yeah, it's called
oh.
So I learned a traditional rhythm, and I just played it into the mic, and that became the main melody from the track. And once we jump into the chorus, I met with Professor Saroudakis at the National University, and he taught me about ancient Greek meter, and he taught me about ancient notation. So I was able to understand the musical theory and tuning of the ancient Greeks, which is based off the tetrachord. I'm explaining a lot of things. Let me just play it.
Let's hear it.
Anyways, him singing, he sang for me, and I used that as like part of the chorus. This is me rapping.
A little bit of rapping? Okay. Get 'em. No.
That's a sample. The sample then chopped up. The professor singing.
Yeah. I get the vibe.
You don't need to listen to it more. It's like this is the unmixed and unmastered version. So it's gonna sound much better once everything is in the mix. So I get the vocals layered and everything is in time. That's very raw. But that kind of gives you an example of what it sounds like. The lyrics mostly have to do with like the history that I learned. So there's like some weird allusions that don't really make sense at first glance. But like once I am able to present it and explain it, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to explain. It makes a lot of sense once you get my project. So that's what I worked on. It was fun. It's been fun.
Did you play the beat?
Yeah. I played you rapping over it.
Oh, you did?
I made a mixed, unmastered version.
So, is this a project you want to continue into the future?
There's a lot of aspects of it that I think I'd like to continue. I talked about me meeting the professor at the National University. Really opened a new world of different types of musical notation because the professor actually adapted his own musical notation with the pitch being on the y-axis and the duration of the note being on the x-axis and the specific syllable being sung.
Wow.
Right under. So it's a really interesting system. It's almost like a piano roll for anyone that produces. So I like there's so much more than staff notation in order to visualize and explain music. And I'd like to explore those different types of notations in future projects. I'd like to take elements of the different countries I visit and continue working on production. Because although I produced this, a lot of the really good mixing and mastering was because I was working with Mike P, who's a really popular producer here. So I'd like to gain that mixing and mastering skill set on my own and be able to sample and create mostly lo-fi beats from the countries that I visit as a potential third mastery project next year.
So this is something that you're really passionate about. How does TGS help you pursue your passions like this?
You know, I think Terrence, one of our educators, was my project for this, and from the beginning, he was like, I'm literally just going to give you space to do whatever you want because you got it. I had everything planned before I came. I had all the experiences, all the museums I wanted to visit, all the guest speakers that I wanted to have, everyone that I wanted to interview. Everything was in place before I even stepped foot in Athens. And TGS allows me to have that space to have everything planned out and gives me the funds I need in order to pursue it in the time that I need to do it. If I was in normal school, I probably wouldn't have the freedom to do a lot of the things I was doing because I was doing my little thing. I was going around Athens. I was having fun, you know. But it's part of the experience, and I wouldn't have that freedom at another institution. TGS gives me that freedom and the funds.
What's the biggest thing you learned about yourself while doing this project?
The biggest thing I learned about myself, how efficient I am, and how well I am at making things happen. Like I have ideas, but they're not just ideas. I'm really good at realizing them and finding ways to make them happen in real life, which is a skill that not everyone my age has, and it's very hard to be efficient and make things happen in time and have those ideas concrete before you even step in. So efficiency, productivity, and like realization, making things happen.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that.
That's really amazing.
The area of growth that I also saw was that sometimes I speed run things.
You could go a little slow and steady in the race sometimes. Yeah.
Because I'm so efficient, I get things done really fast. Because I cut away all the unnecessary stuff. But that means like I'm finishing projects 1-2 weeks early, and I'm just bored. It's unnecessary, and I could just take my time with stuff.
Yeah. So how do your educators and your advisors help you work on these areas for growth, or do you feel like you externally motivate yourself enough, or is there a specific way that staff members in TGS help you really focus in and develop more in these areas where you feel like you need to grow more?
I think specifically when it comes to speaking with Jack, who is our careers counselor, and also our social emotional help support, and talking to our advisors, it's really identifying these areas of growth because my teachers love it. I mean, you have a student that gets everything done really fast, really well, really efficiently. You can't get mad at that. But once you speak to my advisors, they can understand more how it can not be good all the times for me. So they help me put it into words, and they help me identify when I may be going too fast or maybe should slow down. They help me really put that into context and apply it by giving me challenges and constantly pushing me to be more aware.
Yeah, that's social emotional learning. Really important. Thank you for talking to me, Ellie. Amazing. Let's go. I'm gonna go find someone to talk to. Who else is? There's so many other people left, and the doors are closed. But I'm gonna find people to talk to. Okay, I'm coming in with the camera. Okay. Oh my god. Max, Noah, would one or both of you like to come out into my booth and talk to me about your project?
So they're coming upstairs.
Okay, let's go. We've got Max.
I love this one. But really,
Let's go.
And I think they don't know. I mean, I kind of gave a brief about.
Like paparazzi? Oh my god. He's fast.
What am I saying?
Max, can you just tell me, what did you do for module this term? What are you presenting at the showcase?
So, me and Noah, that's our group, we worked on, at the beginning when we were thinking about our project, like brainstorming our project, I originally wanted to recreate a photo book of Athens using different types of photography, so digital, DSLR, film, all types of street photography, that type of stuff. Mainly focusing on the photography aspect. Noah wanted to come in with more of a journalism point of view, and he reached out to me right as we were getting our projects, or starting our projects, starting our project development and design back in Dubai, and he spoke to me about the Greek refugee crisis, which is obviously something that's very big here. So we decided to combine and make a project about photojournalism. Our photojournalism project features the meaning of home for refugees in Athens, refugees and immigrants. So over the course of the past 4 or 5 months, however much time we had to gather content we were going to different volunteering places to put ourselves in situations where we can help or observe. We went to community youth to youth at ACS, which is a program that brings buses of immigrants and people who are new within the country. We spoke to them similar to our age, similar to our interests. So yeah, that was really fun, and we were able to talk to some of the people that are in our shoes, but also not in our shoes. That was really fun, and then we also walked around two very diverse places. I don't know how to say this. Yeah, diverse places, Victoria and William, where we had two very interesting experiences. But our project was mainly focusing on what is home, how is home, and where is home for each of these refugees. You can come see it at our booth at the symposium or our booth at the Project Showcase. We made the book, which focuses on pictures that we found throughout the content gathering phase, as well as pictures that we found from pictures that we took from Athens and Greece itself, as well as some short excerpts that both Noah and I wrote, depending on each story and experience we had. All of this is inside the book, and we have a book that's printed back in the US, and it will be flown here by next week.
Oh. What was your biggest challenge during this project?
I think our biggest challenge collectively was finding experiences. So most of our experiences we really wanted to focus on.
Like it just stopped sort of halfway through Max talking.
It still says it's live on Max.
Maybe it's like repeating or deleting.
There it is, it's on.
Oh, it's on now? Okay.
Starting in 5 minutes. The second round is starting.
Adnan, do you want to talk to the live stream in my booth?
What's up, live streaming your booth?
No, I said you want. I hate you.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, no, I need to use this space for the live stream. Yeah. Adnan, our fearless leader. How have you found Showcase so far?
It's been very, very interesting to see what it is you'll come up with. This idea that we have for Greece. The variety of things, the approaches to Greek mythology, Greek fashion, food, history, politics. And honestly, I didn't expect that there would be such a wide variety of things. I thought we would latch on to mythology, but it's incredible. Good job.
How did you feel giving your students so much freedom to decide what we do, not just for personal projects, but for modules this term? What was sort of the lead up to being like, okay, the kids can do it?
Do it. Well, we focus a lot on student autonomy, student voice and choice, right? So it was time to try something new. We've always toyed with the idea of doing a module this way, but thanks COVID, we couldn't do it in time. So it felt like a perfect time to try it. We were familiar with it, we kind of knew the areas and we knew where you all can go and kind of explore. So logistically, we thought it was going to be a nightmare to an extent, and it actually wasn't that bad. Content-wise, we didn't know what to expect, but quite positively surprised seeing what kinds of things everyone focused on. So overall, it wasn't a sort of a, oh my God, what are we going to do situation. It was more of, hey, we've been wanting to try this for a while, let's do it.
Cool. Who has been your favorite project so far?
I haven't seen all of them yet.
Yeah, but in session
Second
1,
round.
yeah. Someone who you think was pretty interesting.
Mila fed me. Kirsten fed me.
I'm seeing a reoccurring team with
Coffee yet, so.
no one has had coffee yet.
Greek coffee project next year? Is there such thing as Greek coffee?
Greek coffee? Yeah, it's really good. You should try Greek coffee.
Next year.
There you go.
Cool. Thank you for talking to me, Adnan. Let's go. Where is Kirsten? It's time to find Kirsten now. Kirsten's gone?
No.
Oh.
My project.
Where is Kirsten.
I don't know. I want to talk to her.
I get priority on Kirsten. Hold on. We're gonna. I've heard so we're gonna find. Is Kirsten gone?
But you would not say no if there's only one person.
Kita, would you like you and Maheen to come talk to me about your project? Yeah. Do you want to go? Let's go outside. Let's go.
And there's a great grammatical information.
Oh. Let's go. Maheen, you want to come? Oh my god, we've got both people in a module at once for the first time. Hi, Ibrahim. Come on, we're going. We're going. We're going. Oh my god. Today was not the day to choose to wear a skirt, basically. Kita, Maheen, introduce yourselves and then introduce to me your module.
So I'm Kita.
This lesson is advisory.
Our module was basically like, it was
11th grade and 10th grade. Yeah, cool. No, let's just go. Tell me about your module.
our module. So we had like different modules, but the same set. So I want to talk about what I focused on, which is mythology and film photography. And like, it wasn't originally like this, but how it went on is the representation, the perspective of contemporary feminism, or like the modern idea of feminism through Greek mythology.
Oh look, there's me.
And so it's through Greek mythology. So even there are things that like, you know, I just wanted to portray through it. It might not be like super mythologically accurate, but I just wanted to like capture that. So that's my side.
Aha.
My side focuses on history, which is why it's black and white, because it's in the past.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
All the pictures are black and white, and I focused on three main themes. I focused on globalization and like the freedom, freedom of speech in Greece and in modern day and historically, and then I also focused on feminism and the history of feminism and how it how what happened in Greece in the past is something that's still happening in different countries, but like people turn a blind eye to history just because they think it's memorized, like it's facts and dates, but it's much more than that.
Oh. Okay. What? Because both of you guys focused on photography, right? Why did you choose photography and why did you choose film photography?
So she actually chose digital.
Yeah.
I chose film. I chose film mostly because like that is something I've always really loved photography, but I've never really focused on film photography. Like I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know what to focus on, and so I wanted to take this as like a chance to improve my skills in that area. But I also wanted to achieve that sort of like dreamy effect, and like as you can see, like here, like it looks really like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's very intense, and I feel like it's really easy to capture that through film. And I think it gave it the dreamy look that I really like.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, and like for me,
I just 2 seconds, Maheen. I'm just gonna give you a microphone so people can actually hear now.
See if it works.
Okay. So the reason that I chose digital photography is I did not know much about photography until I came to TGS, and none of the projects that I had done so far in TGS were related to digital photography, and I wanted to explore that specific type of photography, which is why I started doing digital photography. Another reason is that I was trying to modernize history and combining modern day, like my entire summative is more combining modern day and like present day scenarios with historical things, and like this was a part of it, like going to historical places but using something that was created in like not modern day but something that was created relatively newer and then using it. But yeah.
What were your... Now they can't hear me unless I have the microphone. You've taken all my power away. What are, like one at a time, your biggest areas of personal growth throughout this project? So let's get Kita to go first.
I don't know if this counts as personal growth, but I think just like choosing a topic in itself, like it started completely different to how it ended up, which is a big part of the process, but it also taught me a lot about how I handle certain projects and how I go with the flow. Like it really wasn't about women portrayal at all. It was I actually wanted to talk about like ancient Greek perfectionism at first, but as it went on, it was really hard to find experiences, to find research, to find all of that. So I switched it completely. And I learned so much about photography in general. Like, I would have never thought to take it from different angles, to think about the lighting, to think about all of these things with film photography. And so yeah, it was just learning about my strengths and weaknesses was the biggest part for me, and playing on my strengths. That was, yeah, I think that was the biggest part.
Biggest challenge, right?
Biggest growth.
Okay.
Personal growth.
Okay, for me, I think it was learning that some topics, they sound like they're really interesting, but when you get deeper into researching them, it's they're not interesting. They're more about there's some topics that you need to respect, because for me, when I initially started this project, I was gonna focus on the history of refugees, but there's this program that our school goes to called Youth to Youth, where you basically meet a bunch of unaccompanied minors or refugees from different countries. And when I started talking to them, I realized when I started listening to their stories and who they are, I realized that I don't want to do the history of refugees, because I was capitalizing on refugees, and that was not something that I wanted to do for my project. So I feel like that was kind of like a personal growth for me, because whenever I would always be like, oh, I'm gonna interview refugees, I'm gonna get to know more about them, but there was never about oh, why am I doing this, how am I gonna help them. And it was always I was just capitalizing on them in a way where it would make my project look like I did something good. But yeah, I think that was something that I learned throughout the project, and I also learned how to adapt, because our mentor, it was really hard, the communication with our mentor and things like that, that's something that we learned how to do on our own, because that's something usually for our modules that educators do. So that was something interesting. Yeah.
So I think one question I really have is, because I did my module by myself this term, what were the pros and cons of working with someone else to do this module, especially you're in two different grades? How does that sort of work in TGS?
So actually, at first, it was two separate projects, but a big part of our online learning was seeing what other people are doing, and we realized our projects were almost identical, just different topics. So I think it was kind of we're really close friends as well, so it was kind of natural that we were like, hey, do you want to just join the project together? And it was easy because we're focusing on two different things. Even with the photography, she's focusing on digital and I'm focusing on film. She's focusing on history, I'm focusing on mythology. So it's a really easy divide. But then there's also the problem, when we are designing the book itself, how are we going to merge it together? What if we have completely conflicting ideas? But I think it actually just kind of flowed naturally, and there were times where there were kind of conflicting ideas, but we kind of just talked it through. It's all really about collaboration and making sure that the other person gets to portray what they want whilst also portraying what you want. I don't know if you have any other comments about
Yeah,
it.
I think I would say the same things, and I don't think I think I think there were mostly pros, and the only con that would be maybe communicating your feelings, because that could be something really hard, when you're working with two people. But I feel we did that really well, because if we did not, we would find middle ground. If there was something that we did not agree with, it would be oh, maybe we can do this, and we would always consistently ask for opinions. And even if we felt the opinion was not valid, we would communicate that instead of just keeping it to ourselves. So yeah.
So social emotional learning and knowledge, it's a big thing at TGS, and you've really highlighted it in the way you handled conflict and having differing opinions. But outside of sort of navigating things yourself, because you two are close friends already, how did your educators or your advisors sort of help support you and learn more about how to manage those feelings?
I mean, I don't think we really had that many conflicts, I would say, that we would have to oh, okay. Okay, yeah, okay.
I have to go get my mask.
Yeah, I have to go get my mask.
Can we put an intermission? We'll be back in 30 seconds.
We'll be back in 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Oh,
my God.
we can go in the park room.
No, I think we should come back.
This is me talking to myself. We are in a public space where we need to wear masks. So Mahin and Keita are gonna go get their masks, and I'm gonna sit here talking to myself until they come back. And they're back, and they have masks, and we have a microphone now, so we can use masks easier. And you can pull down a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let me give you back the mic, and then I'll flip the camera.
I don't know Were you talking? You were talking.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying that we didn't have that many conflicts that we would have to go to get resolved. Actually, we don't have any conflict.
Yeah.
It would just be like, oh, like we would be like, oh, I'm freaking out, and then we would just talk it out to calm each other down. I think that's like the only
Yeah.
conflict. I don't even count that as a conflict that we had. But in terms of our getting support from our educators, it was really good because we would like before every experience we would communicate it with them that oh like we would communicate it usually a day before or like a considerable like, we leave a considerable amount of time to communicate it with them and then they would like most of the times actually all of the time they helped us.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing I'd add is like most of the time when you're in a group project, it's kind of hard to grade you guys fairly because if you're doing it together, you don't know who's doing the most work. So you might all get an A, you might all get an F, even if some put more effort or more work into it. And it just didn't balance out. But with us, it was really easy because we were doing separate things. The only problem is like sometimes we have like an issue together where it's like, you know, we couldn't get to an activity because it was dangerous for us. Well, it wasn't dangerous, it was just hard to get there. Or maybe there was an issue with the printing or something like that where we had to like solve it together, but with the communication of our educators so that they like, you know, we'd be safe or like we'd be calm and so that we wouldn't stress out over a topic. But I think overall it went really well and our educators, like we had different advisors for the project, so I'd have mine and she'd have hers. And it was easy to like differentiate the work and it was easy to communicate with our educators because of that.
Did you guys take an FBC?
No, we didn't.
Thank you. Ooh. Thank you, Kita and Mahin, for talking to me. I will go find someone else to torture. Let's go. Kirsten, you're talking to me now. I have been looking for you to interview on the live stream. Let's sit down. Let's talk about your project. It's a live stream, and it's being recorded. So sit down across from me. Across from me. You are the interviewee. So I have heard about your project from many, many different people. Could you introduce yourself and then tell me about your project?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kastin and I'm in grade 12. I come from Uganda. And my project basically was about learning the sustainable farming practices between olives and grapes. Olives and grapes grown here in Greece, in Athens. And one of the things I had to do was have excursion tours of visiting farms that specialized in growing olives and making olive oils and olives for eating, and also visiting wineries because it was one of the famous grape products made. And also the funny thing about this project was I didn't really get to have an in-depth analysis of what sustainable farming was. It was more of understanding that if you practice or have these habits or a lifestyle a farmer wants to achieve, to grow these crops, they have to trust that how they started is guaranteeing them a good produce for the year, a good harvest, like good quality grapes, good quality olives. And the thing about it is they don't really practice a sustainable way in growing them, but more of just creating an ecosystem of nature, of like understanding, okay, this is how our weather works, this is how we're going to grow out olives, and this is when we're going to harvest them, to just get the best results out of them. And so what I wanted to do for my final summative was to showcase Greek-made dishes or appetizers, reflecting, the use of olive oil and also grapes out of them. And I made like a grape sweet spoon. And I also made marinated olive oil mozzarella balls.
Oh.
And I made semolina halvas. So basically for the semolina halvas, it's like a pie. I'm not sure what it is, but they use flour, sugar, milk, olive oil, and butter and also raisins to kind of just enhance the taste and the color. So if you saw it earlier or before this time, that means that people have already eaten my delicacies and have seen the final product. So yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So, Kirsten, this was your I'm not done with you. You're a senior. This is your last showcase before your last symposium. So we're going to get all the questions in here. What was your biggest challenge while you were producing this module?
So originally, I really didn't have an idea where my project was going because they were telling me, oh, with the way you've kind of thought about this, it's best that you just study olives and grapes. And not to be a hater, but I didn't like olives, and I really didn't see what the point of just understanding how grapes are grown here was. But it was until I started doing research, understanding, watching videos that helped me, find interactive ways to understand why is it important, how is it of cultural relevance to the area that is being grown. So this is Greece in the focus. I learned so much and I appreciated so much about the culture. And so for the final product, I assumed that I was going to kind of show something that had to do with farming practices and how they were sustainable, and how how the Greek farmers kind of implement those methods into the fruits and vegetables they're growing. But at the end of the day, it was the end product that mattered more than the farming methods. So, yeah.
That's really interesting, Kirsten. Could you tell me, you talked about your challenge. What was your biggest area of personal growth in this project?
I think it was just doing engaging learning. What I mean by this is that I visited places, to kind of get a visual idea of how are these olives made, how are they grown, what's the farming process for it, physically seeing that for myself and having guides there to kind of just go through an in-depth process of why it matters, how it applies, to their food culture and like the process of what they go through. That was really interesting to see and nice to see that they were passionate about it. And I also felt interested and I wanted, to put my passion into making something that reflected what I learned from these experiences.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. I'll talk to you later, probably. Let's see. Who's left? I feel like there's still more people for me to bully. Hold on. Who do we have? Who do we have? Oh, we have Ignacio. Look at him. They're talking.
I mentioned a little bit about sort of ancient Greek nautical tradition.
Oh, he's got a paper, a research paper. Mans is intelligent. Oh, Ignacio, would you like to come out to the interview booth to tell the live stream about your project? Let's go. Let's go. Oh, everyone wishes they were on the live stream. Everyone wishes they were here. Look at our seniors working together. Here we go. He's coming. I'm really hoping I don't get yelled at about a mask again. I've been doing this for 70 minutes. Ignacio!
Hi.
Let's get into your project. Can you introduce yourself and then introduce your project?
All right, great. So, hello, I'm Ignacio. I'm currently a senior at Think Global School, Cohort 1. And I made a project where I'm basically explaining why when we think of human life in space, we should be thinking about ancient Greece.
Oh, okay.
So, and through that created kind of an argumentative paper that hopefully I'm going to send to NASA and basically have them to a little bit rethink the way that they think of it.
Hopefully you're going to send
Maybe.
it to NASA.
It's a concept. Essentially what this looks like is that I started from the idea of that these two things that are discussed, a lot of current, especially NASA initiatives like the Artemis program, intends to put permanent human settlements on the moon, or the first time that humans have actually lived outside of the Earth's gravity ever, or first time that humans have lived on another gravity source ever in the history of the world. What that means is that we're going to start seeing, eventually, we're going to start seeing births, we're going to start seeing an actual community that's being built apart from Earth, completely separate. And so I'm talking about why, as an independent settlement, and as these independent settlements keep popping up, how their initial kind of lifespan is going to look a lot more like ancient Greece than it is going to look like our modern world, and why people, when they kind of envisioned these things, should be focusing on an ancient context when they're doing their research as opposed to a modern one. Anything else?
Wow. So sending it to NASA, what was forwarding your paper onto NASA like the plan from the start? Was it something that you felt confident enough in what you learned that you wanted to share it to NASA afterwards, or what was the process there?
No, it was not my initial intention. I started with a really random concept by kind of watching a couple sci-fi shows and said, hey, I'm seeing a connection here, and so spent the term exploring that connection, actually trying to dig deeper, which is pretty difficult actually, both looking at currently what space organizations have released about their information. Obviously some of that isn't really public knowledge, so I'm not privy to know. But based on that and based on what I've collected about Greek society as a whole, obviously this isn't strictly related to Greek society, this is any ancient society, but with Greece it makes a lot of sense, mainly because the prevalence of sea travel and the dispersion of islands makes it very similar to this concept. And so that ended up being something that once I'd completed the paper, I thought, wait a sec, this actually makes a weird amount of sense.
Yeah.
And said, hey, there's no reason for me to make this thing if I'm not kind of going to apply it to something. So that's something that I did.
Wow. So you've sort of mentioned finding information and stuff was hard. Would you say that was your biggest challenge during the paper, or were there like smaller things that added up too?
So a lot of the things on current kind of space initiatives are very prevalent, are very easy to collect because they're very popular. But on the other hand, people love Greek mythology and people love to hear about this kind of spiritual side of things, but people don't always write about, and especially include in like physical, tourist destinations don't really focus on, okay, where was the food and the bread made and the timber brought and the marble dug, where all of those resources come from, how the population grew. A lot of these kind of more basic facts aren't as dramatic and so aren't focused on. And so that had to be something where it was reading between the lines on things like art museums that were showcasing ancient art and sort of the way that specific artists were presenting their situation or their current reality, as well as a number of things like moral codes, things like Aristotle's Politics, a lot of these ancient texts relating to those, and then working to kind of deconstruct them and put them in a different context.
Wow, so that's... I'm not going to lie, I feel like this is one of the most interesting modules I've heard about so far, and you're a senior, you're graduating in a week?
Yeah, 6-7 days.
So, in this module, like your last module really, what do you think has been your biggest area of personal growth? Like, what have you really learned from this last module in TGS?
I would say the most important thing is that learning to actually put yourself out there and try stuff that you didn't think would work is very impactful. I started this project on a whim. I thought it was a little bit goofy that I saw some sci-fi stuff and said, hey, I could work with that. But actually putting that into practice and doing some research and realizing that there is an importance attached to this that people aren't seeing, especially looking at a different perspective when the current kind of space landscape is very objective oriented and is very focused on a lot of these new developments, I think is really neat to have a new perspective. And so I'm really glad that I was able to achieve that with my last project. It was kind of the culmination of a lot of work that I've done throughout my TGS career, so I'm very happy about it.
Final question, and you're the first person to get this question because I feel like you're a wise aged senior. What core value would you most associate with your module?
I would say that this most connects to Qiao Zhiyi, in that it's all about curiosity. It started from a point of, I have this idea, I want to learn about this. I have this passion to understand it better and actually make connections. And I think that curiosity is what drove me through to complete what I did.
Thank you so much, Ignacio. I'll let you go. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you.
Let's go. Let's find someone else to talk to about this. Oh, wow. The educators are having a meeting over here. Who is left in the second room? There's a camera in here. Have I not spoken to anyone in here? Hold on. Elena. I haven't spoken to Elena about her project yet. Hi. She's kind of in the middle of talking to someone. I'll come back. I feel like these live streams, for the people who watch them, are some of the most engaging TGS content. Like, I know there used to be vlogs when I was applying, but hi, Will. This is really an amazing look in at life in TGS, more than I think any Instagram post can tell you. Who's left? Oh. Yeah, this. We've got a group of people discussing a project here. Wow. So, everyone's very engaged. Here we have Victoria, one of our seniors, watching a module summative, a documentary that was made by Camille. Camille, would you like to come talk to me? Do you want to talk to me outside? Let's go. Sorry. Okay, we've got Camille, we've got Batty. Nilla, if you don't get out of this boot, I'm gonna take away your diploma. Nilla's, I've got all the power.
Pry it from my cold, dead body.
Okay, so Camille, can I get you to introduce yourself and then introduce what your module was?
So hi, I'm Camille. And basically, I was working in a dual module with my friend Sipo Kazi, and we're both really interested in the ocean. So we decided to explore the human activities versus ocean ecosystems in Greece. She focused a lot on oil exploration because it was something that was very prominent in South Africa, and she wanted to explore it here in Greece. And I focused on fisheries because it's a topic that I've been exploring for a little while, and I'm really interested in it. So basically, after a bunch of research and a bunch of interviews with experts in the fields, we came to the conclusion that sustainability is a privilege. In countries like Greece, who have gone through many crises and do not have like the systems to sustain environmentally friendly industries, it is very hard to be able to reach that sustainability that, like, for example, like the European Union is implementing for all their member countries. And so we explored, I mean, for me, I'm going to talk about the fisheries. There's that mentality that sustainability is like a blockade for economic development, but it's not. It should go hand in hand. And there's a lot of socioeconomic implications in that. So we explored that all, and we compiled it into short films, short documentaries to kind of showcase what we learned. And honestly, it was really cool. It was really fun. Yeah.
Okay, so sustainability is a privilege. That is a super powerful statement. What would you sort of highlight as your most significant area of learning in this project? Because it's clear that you've taken a lot away from it, like not just in the content you've learned, but also maybe your own philosophy or opinion. How has that changed since you've completed this project?
I think I had a lot of preconceived notions of fisheries is bad, fisheries kills the environment, fisheries is terrible. But by exploring it in the context of Greece, I realized that no, fisheries is really important to many, many people. And it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's well regulated and you find that balance. So I think like that detrimental thoughts of fisheries is terrible, fisheries exploits a lot, fisheries is like the enemy, just really changed that mindset. And I was like, okay, but there's people that benefit from that too. So I was thinking it more of an environmental, like extremist perspective rather than that balance. So I think that's like my biggest takeaway.
Wow. And what was your biggest challenge in this project? Like you could do like what? Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're gonna stand right here.
That's so awkward. Okay, so what was your question?
What was your biggest area or your biggest challenge, really?
I think the biggest challenge I had was actually being able to reach out and like interview these guest speakers because like I contacted so many of them and only 3 got back to me, 3 that were amazing. But it all came down to the perseverance because I was like, no, I'm giving up. Like people are not answering. Like that's it. That's my last straw. But just get off, Will. But, just basic. I feel like that was my greatest challenge, but I was able to really overcome that with a lot of determination. But yeah.
If you were to give one piece of advice to students who are joining TGS and starting their own projects, what would it be?
Please do the things that you like, or else you're going to get really tired of them. And you're just not going to do a good job, and you're not going to enjoy your time. So do things that you're passionate about.
Thank you, Camille. And now I have the next person to interview, like, ready, waiting behind me. So, Siken, can you introduce yourself and your module for this term?
Yeah. So this term, well, first of all, my name is Siken Andrade. I'm from Mexico. I'm a senior, graduating in a couple of days. My module for this term was exploring how the Greek economic crisis has affected the sustainability of the country. And for my final summative, I wrote a paper summarizing my research and my experience talking to experts of the matter, mostly NGO workers. Thank you.
Siken, you've been at TGS for 3 years. You're about to graduate. Clearly, you've had some learning curves, some personal experiences. But this term in particular, working on your last TGS module, what has been your biggest area of like personal growth?
I think my biggest area of personal growth this term has been just being able to talk to people in a professional setting to learn from them, right? Because since it was completely independent, we had to go out and find experiences for ourselves. Well, I had to talk to a lot of people, and at the end of the day, the people that I interviewed with were professionals in the field of economy and sustainability. So yeah, I think definitely just putting myself out there and trying to find trying to learn more from people that I knew nothing about.
Thank you so much, Siken, for sharing your thoughts. Is there any advice you would give to people who want to join TGS? Like now that you're graduating, what would you say your biggest piece of advice for someone who gets into TGS, who starts? What would you tell them? Like your wise words of wisdom as like one of our most reliable seniors in CM1.
That's a good question, and I think just have a plan. Have a plan before you start in everything, in life, in projects. Because without a plan, you're just freestyling and you're not getting as far as you could without a plan. So for every project, plan ahead. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And where do you want to go? What do you want to do with your life? You don't have to know, but you just have to think about it. And just with your projects, have projects that are guided towards your passions. Don't do something because you think it's gonna look cool, or you're just like if you're not interested, don't bother. Just do what you like and plan it out.
There we go. I just had to zoom in on Siken's face. Oh my god. Okay. We're gonna get him in a minute. I have spoken to Shadi. Yeah.
20th and 19th century. And so based on all that research, I found that in the end, based on what I found,
like that memory is the core essence of each, like of the identity. So without it all those theories and philosophies, they wouldn't be linked with each other as
Are you
memory.
focusing on ancient Greek philosophy, or are you focusing on?
No, I focused in the beginning on ancient Greek, and then I did sort of a timeline to just compare, make a comparison between all of them.
But you're doing it from ancient Greek to Enlightenment.
For ancient Greek, Enlightenment, and modern era, like 20th century,
So it
19th
sounds
century.
like it's extremely canonically Western centric.
Yeah.
What happens to Chinese ideas of identity? What happens to Russian ideas of identity? What happens to Islamic era?
Okay.
Where do those fit in here?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
No, I haven't found like enough research on that, so that's why I didn't like base on it. But okay.
So the idea is that you looked at Greek ideas of identity.
Yeah.
You look at the specific philosophers, and then you look at what the
Okay, let's hear out another educator-student conversation.
All the EQ, all the plugins, he's making it sound crazy. He's doing crazy transitions. I'm like, do this, and then we're playing around with everything 6 hours straight. Like the first version does not sound like this. I'll tell you that. Like I mean, if you're not into like production, like it's whatever. But you listen to this and you're like,
Right.
c'est bon, it's good.
Was this one primary like big session? Like
No, it's 2 different 3-hour sessions. No, 3 to 4 hour really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was like for you? What was the most like worthwhile or like the prominent experience
The most
for you?
prominent experience is the one that I talked about the most and I went on ranting about, which is the one with Professor Sarudakis of the National and Kappa District University of Athens. That experience phenomenal. It opened a whole new world for me in terms of musical notation, music theory, and how much farther we can push music beyond what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool. What was the challenge that you had during this process?
The challenge that I had, I think maybe I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to make it sound a certain way, which is just stressful. Like when you keep on thinking it and you want everything to be perfect. But I think when I really just started making it, that pressure dissolved. Because I'm like, first of all, I only have 3 weeks. I'm gonna mix and master and create and produce something in a week. So I have to manage my expectations. And the second part was the lyrics. It took me forever to actually write the lyrics. I actually wrote the lyrics like a couple days ago because that is so stressful for me. Because when you grow up around the community that I'm in, and it's like hip hop is the only genre listened to. Like you can't have stupid bars. Like you can't do that. And this feels like stupid bars to me. So I was so scared of like writing down lyrics that were inauthentic and corny for real. And I feel like Terrence, who's my mentor, he's just like, write it. Like, who cares? Like, he draws with me. Like, I draw with him sometimes. And he's like, are your drawings good? And I'm like, no, but I still enjoy it. Are your lyrics going to be good? Probably not, but you're still going to enjoy it. So that really put the pressure away from me. And I just started writing down.
Yeah. We're going to go find Elena because she was busy earlier. Sorry, Ignacio. Okay. Here we go. Sorry. I'm going on an adventure. I have been doing this for 92 minutes. It's going so well. I'm missing so few students. Elena, you're coming with me now. Riley said so. Yeah. Do you want to come? Okay. I'll mic it up. Hi. Here you go. Wait, how do you want to do it? Are they? I really have participated though. Okay. So if you want to talk about what you're doing, you can wear this and have the microphone attached to you.
It's okay, not right now.
Yeah, no, I will find someone else because Riley's timing is really, really bad. But I haven't spoken to Sammy yet. So Sammy,
hello.
Can you tell me, first of all, who you are, then what your module is?
So hello, I am Sammy. I'm a student from Mexico, and during this Greek term, I focus on kinesiology and relating that to Greece.
How did you do that?
How did I do that? Well, I had a variety of experiences. I studied sports psychology. I studied Greece in 2004 when they won the Euros, the football Euros, which is known as the greatest sporting achievement in football history. Or in that sports history, I met with some kinesiologists of Greek and understanding how Greeks approach injuries, how they deal with pain, how they deal with chronic pain, which is worldwide. And I mostly learned about how a lot of the kinesiology is more of a business rather than and marketing rather than actually helping people to get cured. Thank you, Rachel.
I'm not done with you yet. So I heard you had a very specific interaction with a Greek chiropractor. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. So this Greek chiropractor started in the University of South Wales, and then he went to Prague, and then he went to Oxford to do some research. He just came back from Oxford and doing some research, and he basically what he found out is a lot about pain and how doctors work. So, for example, the job of a doctor is to make sure you don't die. It's not to make sure you're okay long term. A lot of these chiropractors they create a dependency. So, for example, if your back hurts, instead of treating you how you should be treated long term, they will just crack your back so you're good. And yeah, basically he taught me how to take care of myself without needing to rely on anybody else. About how chronic pain is usually mental. Usually, if you injure yourself, first you go to bleeding, then inflammation, then restructuring, and then it heals up. And usually pain keeps going because you don't teach your body that you're not healed anymore. So it was basically that, working with pain, working with teaching yourself that you're not hurt, because pain does not equal injury. Pain equals alarm. Yeah, no problem, Rachel.
So, just last question. How did you demonstrate what you learned in the summative product? Like, what was the final thing you did to, like, show everyone what you learned?
So me and my team, we created a basically an athlete help guide with everything we learned, because the most of the things we learned they don't even teach it in university, because university sometimes takes time to update. It's about 10 years, so like research that comes out now is really slow. So everything we learned that's really up to date, we basically made a Canva guide for athletes.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Is that TGS Live?
This is TGS Live, and it's also being recorded.
Yeah.
So.
It's about time they put my you know when you say a quote and you get pictures. I said mine a few months ago, so please, Joanne or whoever is watching this live, can you please? Thank you.
What was your quote? You know, self promo right now. I'm in complete control. You can say whatever you want, and technically, I have to suffer the consequences.
Hey, don't worry. So my quote was something about the lines of mindfulness, discipline, and self-driven projects, because that's something I never got in my other school, and thanks to TGS I was able to focus on football, which is basically my passion in my life. So thank you. I will look forward to being posted in the TGS account. Thank you.
You hear that, Lee? He's coming for you. He's been waiting. He's been monitoring the Instagram. Nothing. Sammy was just giving his quote that hasn't been posted on the Instagram yet. Okay. No, it's on the YouTube. I'm on YouTube, Sammy. I'm on YouTube.
Before I started, I wanted to know, what is democracy for you? What does democracy mean for you?
A corrupt system in which power-hungry leaders are just using it.
Okay. Mila and Kiana were working together. I'm seeing a trend in the cynicism towards democracy.
Democracy.
What about you?
My hope for my ideal for democracy is that each person gets to contribute their thought, their feeling, and their opinion to the matter, and that the decision that is reached is for the greater whole and for the greater good of humanity.
Yeah, something that I learned when I was investigating this project, like when I was talking to people, because to make my modern days part, I talked to people from all over the world to understand, because for me, each person's concept of democracy changed based on like what they've seen like their whole lives, like the system they grew up in. So when I was talking to people, something that I noticed was kind of a pattern is if I ask you what's your ideal concept of democracy, what it should look like, and what like is it actually what you know, is it actually what you've seen, it's completely different. So when you have like the idea of, for example, what is democracy? People are like, oh, everyone has the same rights, everyone has the same like voice, the same amount of voice, everyone has the same amount of power. But, like, is that what you've seen your whole life? It's like no. Like what people like have seen and what people like know is that if you have more power, if you're rich, if you have like a more privileged position, that's how it works. You know? So like democracy is a flaw, like like system, and I believe that is like one of the best that we have, like based on like the others, like like tyranny, oligarchy, aristocracy, but it's still flawed. Like for me, it's something that would work in a perfect society. In a society like everything's okay, everything's great, everyone like is super developed, everyone is super open-minded. Then that's the kind of that's the kind of society that where democracy would work. And for my summative, I did a presentation and, if you want to see, yeah, this is what democracy means for them. This is just like an example. Very varied, right? Yep. And then for this personal project, I also developed a game. You can play, yes, if you guys want to play together against each other. It's really short because I'm gonna send like after like more complete to the whole cohort to play, but it's just like a demo.
Actually, no, I know.
That's my presentation.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Elena set up the Kahoot, which is the game she set up as her summative, and we can chat a little bit while the others play. You guys have gotten to hear a bit of her presentation and how things, run and showcase itself rather than just these one-on-one interviews. So hopefully you enjoy. Elena, can you talk right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we've heard about your project. We've heard about what your summative is. What was your biggest area of personal growth in this project?
I feel like it really challenged my perception of what democracy was in the beginning, because I feel like I had a very already preconceived notion of what democracy looked like or should like for me. But then like, when I was getting to know people's opinions, when I was like actually investigating that, I realized it's something completely different. And something that I felt like in my head was completely ideal, it ended up being like a big crash. So I feel like I really grew in this sense of listening to people, understanding like different perspectives until we got to where we are right now. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, Stacy. Okay. So, Elena, next question. What was your biggest challenge in doing this project?
Getting guest speakers to respond to emails and getting the Hellenic Parliament to let me in, probably. Yeah, it was really hard.
Okay, so what was sort of your approach in getting to like talk to guest speakers, because you got some. So what worked?
Actually, just like walking straight up to them and asking. Like, don't send emails, they don't reply, but if you actually like go there and ask, they're gonna be like, fine, sure, you wanna do it right now? They're very nice, like Greek people are very nice. They just take a while to respond to emails.
Do you think this sort of gave you a new confidence in approaching strangers, or?
100%. Like actually like developed a lot of my how to talk to people and how to get to them and like
social emotional learning.
Woo! It's like social growth, 100%. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Elena. Let's go. Who's left? I want to talk to an educator. I haven't spoken to enough educators. Oh no. Oh, hello. Okay, please don't let the receptionist lady be out here.
We're gonna gather.
Gather?
Here, so.
Gathering. Okay. Well, Shal, while we're waiting for everyone, I'm going to step in here so she doesn't yell at me again. What was your experience like being a module lead for these projects where, like, basically the students had full control of what their module for the term would be like? Well, like, how would you describe this whole experience from, like, an educator's point of view?
Okay, well, it's actually pretty exciting because our year started in Botswana when we were looking at bringing in new students, reinforcing what returning students already had experience with, but basically highlighting how our educational process was going and laying a little bit of a foundation. We moved on to our second and third term where we gave exemplars, educator-led exemplar modules of how how you could structure this. And now it's very exciting in the third term or the fourth term here, where students are taking full control of the process and hopefully integrating some of the structures that we have built throughout the full year to be able to, self-direct their own projects. I do feel like, based on what you might have seen today, that it was very successful, and I'm really happy for our students who really engaged in the process.
Awesome. Thank you, Shell. So now we're gathering. Will I keep streaming as we gather?
Say some things. Hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen today. I mean, we have a wonderful venue, honestly. Could not ask for a better venue, better day, great weather, great people, great projects. And I'm just going to keep talking until we have, until Rachel's arm falls off, because she has been holding this camera. Let's give a little shout out. Oh, screenshot, my bad. Oh, this is the work that goes in behind the camera. This could almost be a PE project, because your right arm is got to be on fire. So talk about getting some learning targets. Don't worry about the. It's not about the views. It's about the quality of the views. Now we're down to 2. Okay. So yeah, we're gathering here, as you can see. It's a bit crowded. Victoria's here. Victoria, tell a joke.
I don't have any jokes. You
Okay, no jokes from Victoria, but great projects. Once again, we have an Olympian, Will.
Hello.
Okay.
Oh my
Asia,
God.
hey.
I'm scared. Hi. Wait, what is this?
Live stream.
Actually, I've got one.
No, there's 3
Okay.
viewers.
Nope, no, people are leaving. We're down to 1. Mateo, come here. So I saw a video in Will's. And thank God.
Sorry. Hold on. Sorry.
That sums up our Greece project showcase. Well done, everyone. It's been absolutely amazing to see how you took this idea that we had and ran with it. I was telling Rachel, I expected for most part that everyone's going to be doing mythology and there's going to be, reenactments and whatnot. Turns out, not the case at all. So really, really cool to see you all going in 30 different directions. It's absolutely amazing to see the politics, the history, the music, the food, mythology, kinesiology, everything that I didn't even think people were thinking about. Congrats. Really cool. Job well done. I hope you've learned a lot from running your own module-ish. I've heard from quite a few people that they didn't even realize how much planning and how much work actually goes into us preparing the modules. Now that you've had a chance to connect with guest speakers, find guest speakers, explore and figure things out on your own. Hopefully you take that into your personal project and have the same passion that you had today for these projects when you do your symposium presentations next week and in your future projects. Keep that in mind. Well done.
Yeah, and so this draws to close our showcase. Thank you very much.
What are we doing with boxes and pillows?
We don't need to.
She doesn't want boxes and pillows
There are
mentioned
two items
online.
that need to be looked after in terms of all of the boxes.
Oh, we're cleaning up now.
This is my plan.
Hey, Riley, I see you laughing.
Here and fold them down. Maybe take 2 or 3 each. Between here and